In the heart of a relentless conflict, when night skies turn into battlefields of steel and fire, only precision, power, and nerve decide who will see the sunrise. The night sky over Eastern Europe had become a proving ground for the world's most lethal weapons. Russia unleashed waves of Shahed 2000 drones, their engines buzzing like angry hornets, followed by Kalibr cruise missiles racing at 550 miles per hour. Iskander ballistic missiles descended at hypersonic speeds, while S-400 batteries fired interceptor missiles, desperate to seal the skies. Ukraine responded with equal precision. HIMARS units struck command posts with accuracy measured in feet. ATACMS missiles reached targets nearly 190 miles away, while Storm Shadow cruise missiles slipped beneath radar nets to strike deep inside Russian territory. Then emerged a secret, low-cost weapon built by Ukraine. The same missile that once sank a warship, now redesigned to destroy factories and bases far inland. In this confrontation, could Russia's advanced systems stop it? Do not look away, because the truth of this weapon was about to be revealed. On the night of September 28, 2025, Russian forces launched a massive strike on Ukraine's civilian infrastructure. The attack involved roughly 2,000 Shahed-type suicide UAVs, combined with more than 50 Kalibr cruise missiles. Their targets, power plants, water stations, and railway junctions across Kharkiv, Dnipro, and Kyiv. At 11:47 p.m., the first wave of UAVs crossed into Ukrainian airspace, flying just 330 feet above the ground at 105 MAU. Within minutes, multiple substations were ablaze. Inside the burning structures, temperatures soared above 1,800 degrees as steel beams twisted, and shock waves registered 0.6 on local seismic monitors. Ukraine's response was immediate. HIMARS and ATACMS units struck the Luch thermal power plant in Belgorod, 27 miles inside Russian territory. 3 rockets tore through the turbine hall, cutting power to the entire district. Within 30 minutes, water pressure collapsed and communication networks went dark. As emergency units rushed south and Russian air defense radars shifted to protect Belgorod, Ukraine's general staff prepared the next phase, to exploit the sudden gap in Russia's defensive grid. At 1:23 a.m., September 29th, Ukraine launched Phase 2. While Russian emergency teams and air defense batteries focused on Belgorod, the true strike aimed north, at the electro-detail factory in Bryansk, 150 miles away. This facility produced circuit boards, microchips, and inter-block connections vital to Russia's modern cruise missiles, including the Kh-101 and Iskander. Destroying it could paralyze a major part of Russia's missile production chain. The Ukrainian strike package was multi-layered. 4 modified Neptune cruise missiles served as the primary weapons, each carrying a 330-pound high-explosive cluster warhead. Flying at just 65 feet above ground and traveling over 600 miles, they approached from the northwest. To saturate Russian defenses, Ukraine simultaneously launched nearly 250 FPV drones, each armed with a 6-pound PG-7VL warhead, to strike radar stations, fuel depots, and checkpoints. 20 Hero-type loitering munitions attacked air defense batteries on Bryansk's outskirts. Electronic warfare units deployed 60 jammers and decoys, creating false radar echoes that forced Russian operators to waste interceptor missiles. Meanwhile, 10 Storm Shadow cruise missiles struck secondary targets, including command posts and a railway hub. The sky above Bryansk became chaos. Russian S-300 and S-400 systems fired more than 40 surface-to-air missiles, but confusion reigned. Decoys misled operators in several Pantsir and Tor. Batteries were overwhelmed by swarms of FPV drones attacking from multiple directions at low altitude. Then came the key moment, radar. Coverage collapsed for 7 minutes due to electronic interference. During that narrow window, the 4 Neptunes crossed the border undetected, hugging the terrain below 100 feet to minimize reflection. Russian interceptors scrambled too late. Communication between regional command centers faltered as the Neptunes closed within 12 miles of their target. Secondary UAV strikes set fires at a nearby fuel depot, drawing defenders' attention away. The trap was set. The decisive blow only seconds away. At 3:02 a.m., the electro-detail factory came under direct assault. The Neptunes were seconds from impact. The climax of the operation had begun. As the missiles streaked toward their target, one question echoed across observers worldwide. Could Russia defend the heart of its own missile industry? The first Neptune struck the western wall of the main assembly hall at a shallow 15-degree angle. The explosion created a fireball rising 150 feet into the night, shockwaves shattering windows up to 200 feet away. Steel columns twisted instantly as the roof caved in. 2.6 seconds later, the second Neptune tore through the microelectronics workshop, obliterating precision machinery worth millions. Fire spread rapidly, igniting solvents. Temperatures exceeded 2,000 degrees, and fragments hurled 400 feet outward. The third missile slammed into the power distribution block, cutting all electricity. Transformers exploded in succession, sending shockwaves across Bryansk. The fourth Neptune hit the central warehouse, vaporizing thousands of stored circuit boards and leaving a 15-foot-deep crater. Explosions continued for 20 minutes, each echoing like rolling artillery. Flames soared over 200 feet high, and thick black smoke engulfed the skyline. Within an hour, over 70% of the factory lay in ruins. Civilians fled. Emergency crews battled toxic fumes and collapsing walls. By dawn, the full impact was clear. The Neptune missile, once an anti-ship weapon, had proven its power as a precision land attack cruise missile, flying low and shielded by jamming systems that made interception nearly impossible. Russia's S-300 and S-400 units had launched more than 40 interceptors, but most hit decoys. The combination of FPV drones, hero loitering munitions, and storm shadows had saturated defenses. The loss of electro-deedle crippled part of Russia's missile production capability. Propaganda outlets called it a transformer accident, but satellite imagery told another story. 4 distinct thermal anomalies aligned perfectly with the Neptune trajectory. Fires raged for hours. Power grids failed. More than 120,000 residents lost electricity and internet access. The psychological effect was devastating. Electro-deedle, once a symbol of Russian missile strength, was gone, destroyed by the very weapon that had sunk the Moskva cruiser. The diversion in Belgorod and the strike in Bryansk exposed critical gaps in coordination. Analysts estimated over 500 million in losses and projected at least 2 years for recovery. By sunrise, the factory's smoking ruins marked a turning point. Ukraine's modified Neptune had joined the ranks of long-range land attack cruise missiles, capable of reaching 150 miles, and possibly up to 620 miles in its extended variant. That range placed nearly all strategic sites in western Russia within reach. Strategists described Ukraine's approach as three-headed. First, economic targets, oil terminals, rail bridges, gas pipelines, to cut the Kremlin's revenue. Second, military capacity, munitions plants and command centers deep inside Russian territory. Third, infrastructure with dual military use, power stations and communication hubs, to weaken morale. Each strike carried both tactical and psychological impact, forcing redeployment of air defense units away from the front lines and eroding the image of security within Russia's borders. Officials in Kyiv reiterated that Ukraine sought not escalation but survival, a just peace. Guaranteeing security and sovereignty, international partners were urged to maintain support and press for negotiations that could end the cycle of strikes and retaliation. In the aftermath, both nations stood at a crossroads. Technology had reshaped the battlefield, but not the cost of war. What happened that night was more than a strike. It was a warning of how far modern warfare can reach. This is Shield Military, where every strike has a story. See you on the next mission.